Hey, what's up? Josh here from Breaker Stereo and Performance. Now I'm sitting here with Jason Digos from MSC, and we're sitting in a, what year is this?
23.
23. So it's a 2023 F150, and they installed their immersive system. And we're gonna go over that, what it is and how it came about and what their philosophy is on creating systems like this.
So this is a 2023 F150 Lariat trim package with the factory Bang & Olufsen system, and it's not the standard Bang & Olufsen system. This is the Unleashed system. So in this system, it's got a lot more speakers, a lot more channels. I mean, there's speakers in the headrests and in the ceiling, and it's pretty challenging to upgrade this. And the reason why we wanted to is because even though it's a branded audio system, it's really kind of underwhelming, right? I mean, this is an $80,000 truck,
Right.
and it's a beautiful truck, but just like, you know, a lot of branded audio systems, you know, when you get into the higher end trim levels, you expect a little bit more.
Right.
And even though it's branded and it sounds okay, it's just not typically what you would expect from an $80,000 truck.
So it's better than the basic, but not what you would expect out of something like this.
So what we do is we design and engineer a system that is very unobtrusive to the car. So we're not, you know, installing speakers where speakers don't belong. We try to use all factory locations, always using factory mounting points. So we don't, you know, we're designing the system with the intent of we're not drilling any holes or adding anything that, you know, doesn't make sense or damage the vehicle. Because, you know, a lot of times, you know, a truck like this, it holds a lot of value. So we don't want to devalue that, and we're very aware of that. So everything is a factory location, but what we do is we enhance it with better product, a little bit more amplifier power, and we do all the tuning with a digital signal processor.
And so what I found interesting is you guys carry a number of brands. You have Blam, Helix, Brax. You actually take the best components that will work in this vehicle and you put them together and you make one complete system.
Right. The idea is to take our arsenal of product and figure out what the best performing product is going to be to create the best experience possible. And that's what we're trying to do is develop an experience, a sound experience that is complementary to the car. Right? So it's not always about what brand name, it's more of what works best and what gives us the best sound result. So, you know, we use a mix of Helix components. We use a Helix DSP and subwoofers, Helix speakers, and some Blam speakers as well, just because they perform better in the particular application.
Right. Okay. And what I like about what you guys did here is you engineered not only the components for this vehicle, but the DSP is tuned for it, and you know the installation is clean. And a lot of times, a guy can spend tons of money on very expensive equipment and have it installed even at a subpar level, and they're not going to get the same performance that you would if it was installed properly. And you guys kind of took the guesswork out of that, right? So we're a dealer for you guys, and if a customer came in with a vehicle like this, we would order it up, it would come to our doorstep. All the wiring is already pre-cut. Right. It's already tuned, so we just bring our laptop, we tune it up, and all that's done. Because it could take sometimes on our part, for ones that we just buy off the shelf and we put in vehicles, I mean, sometimes it takes half a day,
right,
to tune it.
Yeah. So what we do is we take all the guesswork out of it. So every speaker adapter is already built. So these are built out of 1/4-inch aluminum. And typically in a regular shop, you wouldn't normally build something out of aluminum. You'd use like a plastic or wood, some kind of composite.
Right.
But we really want to take it to the next level. So we use 1/4-inch aluminum. It's all powder coated. Nice. We build an aluminum amp rack, and that's mounted to factory mounting locations. So you're not having to drill any holes. And then it's all right down to even the wire. Like all of the wires already cut the length and terminated. So all you have to do is run the wire up to the battery, run it back to the back. All of the plugs, we use all factory plugs on the speakers. Nice. So you're not having to cut anything. So again, like when we talked about earlier, you know, if this truck ever goes back for trade and the customer wants to save the equipment, we can take it all out, plug all the factory equipment back in, and we're not cutting any wires. Right down to, you know, this is the Lariat trim package with the B&O Unleashed system. In some of the trucks, we have design systems even for the bass audio. And one thing that's really cool is in our package, it includes all of the factory mounts. So in the case of like a base audio system where it doesn't include the factory amplifier, we give you all the Ford factory nut inserts and the Ford factory bolts.
Oh, wow, okay.
So everything is included in the system. So you get a really high quality system that's installed by professionals like you. It's already dialed and tuned, so you have a predictable result. It's going to sound good, and it's going to last for a really long time.
Right. That's, what you said about being a predictable result. A lot of times in the car audio industry, I mean, if you don't have as much experience, especially when new products come out, sometimes it's not as predictable as you would like, right?
Yeah.
And then you try one thing, okay, that was okay, let's try something else.
Yeah.
Right, so that's good that you guys put a lot of time and effort and energy into making systems like this, where it's going to be a predictable result. When you spend this much money, you want to make sure it's going to sound amazing for sure.
Yeah, and it, especially with the world of digital signal processing, right? I mean, it's really important to have it in a vehicle because a speaker is designed and engineered to sound really good, but when you put it in a vehicle, you don't always have optimal placement and materials. So the DSP really helps us, basically dial in the cabin so the speaker sounds good. And we spend hours and hours and hours tuning this so that it's the best it could possibly be. And for a shop like yours, that R&D work, it's really hard to really invest that time. So what we're doing is for dealers like you is we're investing that time for you, and absolutely spending the time with the software and the tuning microphones and just coming up with the best result possible, which you're in the driver's seat, you're going to hear it, and it's something that you can deliver to your customers with confidence. It's going to sound good, it's going to perform, and it's all integrated into the vehicle. So you have a really great system that is all high quality components and just dialed in and ready to go.
All right, so can you break down what's in this vehicle?
So we use Blam wideband 3.5-inch drivers across the dash, so left, center, and right. And then in the front, we're using some Helix S-Series components. And this is all run active through the Helix V12 DSP.
Okay.
All right, so one of the things that's really cool is we actually integrate with the factory head unit through the Ford A2B bus. So we use a preamp. So we're not taking any of the factory B&O, EQ, or any of that stuff. Okay. It's coming before the amplifier, so the signal is super clean.
Right. So all that's done before the amplifier, and like you said, you get a clean signal going in to the DSP, and then from there you guys were able to adjust.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, the magic comes in just the tuning process, right? With so many channels, right? So we've got, just on the dash, there's 3 channels, and then each tweeter, so that's 5, and then the mid-bass drivers, so that's 7.
Right.
And then now I've got these in the ceilings.
And these are original?
These are the factory ones, yeah. To change these out, you'd have to take the headliner off. It makes it a lot more complex, and they're not playing like a really wide band of frequencies, and we use them to just kind of accent it.
So, and then also the headrest.
And the headrest, yeah. So these are all factory. So, I mean, that's, a lot of channels already going on.
Right.
So, like I said, one of the things that we do is as part of our development process, is we have that time so we can dedicate that to tuning and setting up. So there are countless hours of audio tuning. And you take the complexity of this system with all of these channels and put it into the Helix DSP software, and you're able to still utilize like all of these things. And we've got like these really cool algorithms and stuff where we can mix a signal, so when you listen to it, you're not missing out on these things. And I see so many times where a truck like this will come into a shop, and the shop won't have the equipment necessary to make everything work, so they'll just disconnect these. Yeah. And you really kind of do the customer a disservice because you're not utilizing all the things that they paid for. Right. So what we do is we just take the approach of it's there. Let's figure out the right equipment, and then figure out a way to utilize that, and that's what we can do with we've got a 12-channel amplifier with a 14-channel DSP in this particular system. So there's more than enough to really dial it in and make sure that everything is right.
Okay. Now, what about behind us? What do we got going on there?
So in the rear door, there are some Helix 6.5-inch coaxials, and then there's a custom engineered subwoofer enclosure underneath the rear seat, and that's got 2 Helix 10-inch subwoofers.
Yeah, the box looks really nice.
Yeah,
really
and
clean.
it's tucked in. It's just a nice factory finish vinyl.
Yeah.
You know, and it fits really nice. And the other important thing is the subwoofer enclosure is actually bolted in.
Oh,
Okay, so it just doesn't sit in there again.
Right.
So that kind of factory feel and finish, we don't want that thing sliding around
Right.
because, you know, in an unfortunate event if somebody gets in an accident, that thing now becomes a projectile.
Right.
So everything is factory bolted in. So we actually engineer these really cool brackets that mount to the seat bracket, and then in the enclosure we have you know, some nutserts that bolt in there. So everything is bolted in nice and tight, so it all stays in place.
Nice. All right, and then behind the seat you have.
So behind the seat we have our amplifier rack, and that's built out of 1/8-inch aluminum, and it's powder coated black. So it's got a really nice finish, and then all of the equipment that is part of the systems package is mounted to that. And then we use all factory connectors at the amplifier, and everything is all terminated really nice. So the wiring and everything is super clean, and it's all, again, factory location, so we're not drilling any holes into the back of the truck. In the event on some trucks with the base audio system or it doesn't have the factory mounts, we provide that in our kit. So the
okay,
Ford
that's cool.
factory nutsert,
Nice.
and then the Ford factory bolt also.
Oh, okay.
So
You guys like really paid attention to like every small detail.
Another thing too, that there's a lot of stuff you don't see, like in the doors. We made blockout panels. Okay, so the door is like a big speaker enclosure.
Right.
So in the door, when you take off a factory Ford door, there's a plastic sheet in there, like that weather sheet.
Right, the weather sheet, right? Yeah.
And then in there, there's just a big hole.
Right.
So we want to get, again, you know, the speaker's designed and engineered to sound really good, but, you know, when we put it in this enclosure, it's got a big hole in it.
Yeah.
So what we did is we machined out some custom plastic blockout panels,
Nice.
and then we put a damping material on it
Okay.
to add more rigidity and also more mass.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then, again, in the kit, we give you the factory nutserts so that they're bolted in place, and in case the door ever needs to be serviced or something happens to the window, that panel can be removed, and then you can put it back.
Yeah.
So again, just those little details, like the things you don't see, but then, you know, when you listen to it, how do you get that impact and that bass in the front? Well, the enclosure is a lot of it, and we just take that extra time to do that.
Okay. Cool, man. All right, so let's go and check this thing out, man. Let's see what this thing sounds like.
All right.
Cool. Let's do it.
You're sitting in the driver's seat, so we're going to play a couple of tracks you're going to listen to, and what you're going to hear is like a really nice wide soundstage that extends beyond the truck, right?
Okay.
And then we're utilizing these effect speakers to kind of give it even more height.
Okay.
So that's
Nice.
kind of the really cool thing with the setup and the tuning is, you know, we spend a lot of time dialing it in, but all at the same time, you're going to hear the vocalist, and he's going to be right in the middle, but
Okay.
it's going to sound a lot bigger.
Okay.
Right,
Cool.
so let's listen to this.
You're totally right. So like normally when you're listening to your speakers, you can just kind of, you know that they're coming from the door panels in this case, but what you said is like dead on. It's out further than, you know, it doesn't seem like it's coming from the door panel itself. It's coming out further from that. So that's pretty amazing how you guys are able to accomplish that.
Yeah, and utilizing that factory center channel location, you can get the center image, but still really wide. So like the vocalist is still right there,
Right.
but they're like way farther out, right?
Right.
Another really cool thing too is even at a moderate volume, we still have really good low frequency, like really good bass.
Yeah, you
right. So
do.
you don't have to turn it all the way up to get like that output.
Right.
Even at a low volume, you're still getting that really nice impact. Again,
Right.
one of the cool things with you know, the capability of our tuning in the DSP is it allows us to have that dynamically controlled subwoofer. So
Right. Yeah, because
even at low
normally
volume-
you're like at a lower, moderate level.
Yep.
You go and reach for your bass knob and you kind of turn it up.
right.
And then when you want it louder, you go to turn for the volume, and then you got to go back to your bass knob and turn it down.
Right, yeah, and this thing, I mean, you're
It's
just
pretty
either
even, yeah.
volume or steering wheel control, just up or down, and then the bass kind of follows it. So,
Right, that's pretty cool.
yeah. And another really cool thing is, you know, utilizing, again, these effect speakers, right? So the B&O Unleashed system from the factory has these speakers in the ceiling and also in the headrest, and we didn't remove those from the system, but what we did was we used them to kind of enhance.
Yeah, and you know what? They're not, I didn't even really notice them
Right.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of it is all focused here.
Yeah.
Right. But I imagine if you took it away, that you would
notice that
notice.
it would just be more. It'll be more compressed.
Yeah.
And then and sometimes with recordings like this next one, where they have all of these different effects, you can really hear it because the recording engineer put these things in here, and what we do is we kind of take advantage of that with the software.
Okay.
And how and the way that we mix a signal with the different algorithms, and just now it really enhances that. So you'll hear things like around. Spinning around your head, things that are really kind of weird, and that's kind of why we call it immersive, because now you're just like in the sound.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, man, that's like amazing, man. The way that it's all kind of set up, and it was really weird. You're right, because the engineer, he did certain effects, and it sounds like some of it's over here, then it's over here, but you really get that effect because you guys have created this nice, stage.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's what we like talk about with immersive. It's like you're in the music.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that sounded great, man. Really good. All right, JD, thank you so much for coming out here and showing us the system. It really sounds great, super impressive. Now, if you're interested in a system like this, you can go to, you guys have a website set up?
Yep, systemsbymsc.com.
And then basically you would go to a dealer locator.
Right, so not every Helix and Blam dealer is a systems dealer. So systems dealer, guys like you will have special training and then access to the systems product, because again, it's an engineered audio system, and we want the very best of our dealers to have access to this. So yeah, go to that website, systemsbymsc.com, and you'll find a local Systems by MSC dealer. So we've got F150 B&O Unleashed immersive audio systems, the regular base B&O. We're going to have the Bronco coming out soon for B&O, and then also the F150 with the bass audio pack. So even if you have a bass audio F150, we're going to have a system for that as well.
Okay,
so
great.
we're working on all kinds of other stuff as well.
Yeah, okay. So kind of you're starting with Ford, and then you'll probably move to different manufacturers from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Check them out at systemsbymsc.com.